Well, hello everybody. Hello everybody. How y'all doing? What y'all got going on? I hope it's us. It's Wednesday again, 7 p.m. East Coast time with Christopher. Lord have mercy, Chris Allen and myself, 7 p.m. East Coast time every Wednesday. But look at here. What we got in the middle? We got a new friend.
Yeah.
Um, yes.
Hi. Thank you for having me. My name is Kia Reed.
Welcome, Kia Reed. Christopher Allen has invited Kia Reed to discuss the topic of the night. If this is your first time joining us, I'm Ms. B, the CEO of Stormtalk 365, which is a faith-based podcast network. And I'm also the CEO of Storm Radio 24/7, where we talk about arts, business, entertainment, and more. You have been watching Christopher Allen on the Issues of Men every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for a while now. But this is our first female guest, so I'm excited about that. Christopher, what are we going to talk about tonight?
So what we're going to talk about tonight is actually Kia is she's our first female guest outside of Miss B on the show. So I got to give you props for that. She's also the one who gave me the topic for tonight, and I wanted her to be somebody who has experience and being a part of this type of conversation. Is why are men reluctant to commit in relationships? And we're going to definitely get into that tonight. But before we get started tonight, let me share a little bit about Kia Reed. Kia Reed is the owner of EyesofH Entertainment. She's also co-owner of Genwordsllc LLC. Kia has produced 3 short films, one called Legacy, one called Stays Together, and the other is called the Seance Challenge. And she is also editor of Generational Words Publishing, and she's also an educator. So she has some great things going on. And when I tell you, the first time that I saw Legacy, I was blown away.
Oh, thank
I was
you.
totally blown away. I mean, super talent. I believe wholeheartedly that, in her pursuit, her continuance of what she's doing, she's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. And much success to you, Kia.
I appreciate that so much, Chris. Thank you so much. Yeah,
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
And so we're gonna jump right into it, family. So Kia, you know, tell the viewers why you chose this topic of conversation. Just from your point of view.
Oh, okay, great. So I have listened into you and Miss B several times, and you always have some great topics. And the last show, I caught the end of it, and you were kind of talking about some of the challenges in relationships and kind of talking through those things. And my question was, well, why are it seems after thinking about this topic, because I've been kind of sitting with it since I asked the question, I don't want to make it like an unfair bias, like, oh, only men have, fear of commitment or are reluctant to get into relationships, because I know that it's a lot of people, people in general, period, not just
Yes.
men. But I'm just curious because I like to talk about love, specifically Black love, because I feel like it's more than just about relationships. I feel like relationships are the bedrock of community. And so I always feel like we have to get it together or find a way to kind of bridge the things that divide us. And so I'm just thinking about, well, what is it that's hindering us from committing to one another? What
Mm-hmm.
is preventing us from like just diving in and taking a chance or taking a risk on relationships? So I thought that would be an interesting topic to kind of talk about. I think it's an important topic
It
for
is.
how relationships are going right now.
It is very interesting, and it's very important that we do at some point. We talk about Black love. We definitely have to get that together in jail and do better at it. And so, just jumping right into it, um, you asked the question, and I can say some of the things that I've thought in my mind and come up with from experience. we're going to just jump on the first thing. And that first thing is a lot of men and a lot of women have not actually ever got over their first love. Having that pain of your first love, multiple broken relationships. Some people don't want to put that much effort into getting into a relationship, or or having that deep commitment, or giving your all and have nothing left if it doesn't work, or the other person is not reciprocating what you're giving. So what's your thought on getting over, your actual first love and multiple broken relationships?
Well, for me, like, because I was married before, I think that what helped me in processing that situation, going through a divorce, was to realize that you don't have to stop loving someone just because you realize that the relationship no longer is good for you, or is working for you, or working for that person. And I think if people could embrace a healthy way to love people, but not necessarily have to be in a relationship with them, then it will help them to move on. So kind of facing what that relationship meant to me, facing what it meant to lose that relationship in a realistic way, because divorce does feel like a failure, does feel like a death. So I had to take some time and be realistic about the fact that I wasn't ready to get into a relationship, and do some healing. And I think that if people take some time with themselves, do some healing, and understand that just because a relationship didn't necessarily turn out the way you had hoped, it doesn't mean you have to stop loving that person. I still love my ex-husband, but I've been able to turn it into like a healthy co-parenting, looking at it as I want to see the best for him. Like, I feel like people think when you love someone, you have to own them, you have to have them, they belong to you. But I think real love is when you are able to kind of want the best for that person, regardless if it's them being with you or not. And there's a freedom in real love, I think.
Absolutely. And, one of the things I think too, especially men of God, because we're human, we're men, and women are women. And sometimes when we look at someone as a possession, or you are mine, like once mine, you forever mine, that breeds a whole different aspect of pain and anger, animosity, resentment towards another person when you set out to do this specific and certain thing. But since we're talking about, I was also at some point, I was married twice, and I learned a lot from, being those type of relationships, and learning what being in a toxic relationship is. And if we survive this, if we're moving in this together, how can we not be so toxic in a relationship together? But what I want to do is tie into one thing for me that hurt me, it almost drove me to suicide, is, let's talk about the religious aspect. When we go before our family, our friends, before we go before God, if we promise and we say that we're going to do this and it doesn't work out, one of the things that really kind of got me off tilt was the fact that there were some things going on both sides of the fence that I couldn't really prove it on her in 100%. Although my instincts and my feelings, everything in my body, my discernment was telling me, there's other things going on. So then I had other things going on. But what I'm trying to get to in the aspect of God, like I promised God, like I'm going to do this for the rest of my days. So it broke me to the point, like I can't even live up to your standards. Like, why am I here? So I think, so just bringing it to sometimes why men might not want to commit is also bringing in that relationship. If they are men of God, sometimes you're like, oh, I'm going to have to go through this cycle again. I'm going to go through this again. But they're also committing sin as well by not being in a committed and a married relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a weird dynamic mentally, emotionally for us to carry. Did you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. I definitely agree. Like when I went through my divorce, I was like, you know, God is going to be angry with me. The Bible says God hates divorce. So it really took me a long time to heal from that because I felt like I was, like you said, disappointing God. But then I had to, God released me from that. Like he helped me to face whatever thing that I was holding on to, because all it did was kind of separate me from him. So it was like I got released from that and then got reminded that, you know, Jesus didn't come for you to be condemned. He came for you to have, you know, life and life abundantly. And so holding on to failures, mistakes, or things of your past is not going to allow you to live in that abundance. And so I had to kind of embrace that and then also kind of get on one accord with God as far as in our relationship about what happened with the divorce versus listening to all these other voices or people and their opinions about marriage and divorce and what I should do or what I shouldn't do, or even pastors or people in the church. I had to be like, okay, God, let me get down into your word. I know what your word says. Let me pray to you. Let me hear from you. Let's go on a journey together and help me get through this process so that I can face what has happened. And I feel like a lot of times people live in prisons. I've seen a lot of people who, because they can't oh, you can't hear me?
No,
oh
I
yeah,
can hear
live
you.
in prisons of your mind. Like a lot of, it's like I watch people who are very close to me who attach themselves to relationships that were their first loves or big loves in their lives. And it's like that relationship almost becomes bigger than the actual person, that memory of that relationship, or that holding on to that becomes sort of like a relationship in itself. Like you no longer have a relationship with the actual person, but you have a relationship with the memory of what happened with that person. And what happens is it just holds you in bondage. It makes you unable to move forward. And then you start to fantasize, and of course you're only thinking about the best memories and moments that you had with this person, and not really thinking about, well, this person is an ex for a reason, or things didn't work out for a reason.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know, it becomes an idol in your life, that relationship, when you just desire it so much. So I think it's important to step back and kind of evaluate, well, what do I really want, and what is happening right now in the present moment? Like, what is the reality of what this situation is? And is this a way that I want to live out my life for the rest of my days? Because those years catch up on you when you are stuck in that place. And it's like, before you know, it's like, man, it's been 10 years and I've been in and out of this same relationship. Or it's been 10 years and I've been wanting this person back. And in the meantime, my life has not, I've lived in my head. I've lived in this moment. I've lived in these created memories versus living my actual life and seeing what could have been for me, or what would be next for me.
Yeah, live it in the present. Ms. B, did you want to share anything in regards to this?
Oh, I'm so used to listening. I just want to say I stand in agreement with everything she said, especially when it comes to getting input from other people spiritually on how you should handle not only your relationships, but the separation of it. You know, I too am no longer with my children's biological father. How about that? But let me just say that this is just me. I went through that. I even had books on why you shouldn't divorce. And I mean, I just went through a lot of that guilt trip. So let me tell you about the guilt trip, and then I'm going to move on. You said the mind, and I'm going to do a series on the mind as the battlefield starting this Friday on my new TV show. So let's just say this. For all of us who have been through relationships, whether married or just, you know, one specific person, the bondage is real. The thoughts are real. The spiritual affection is real. But let me just say this. The biggest divorce court was held by Jehovah God our Father himself when the priests married outside of their faith, and he held all of them accountable. And if they were not married accordingly, they had to leave that family because they were unequally yoked. Most people want to use the scriptures to justify their insecurities to keep you in bondage. But in reality, if it is a relationship sanctioned by the Father, it will be tested, but it also will show you married outside of my will anyway. Did I direct you, or did you go emotionally and intellectually, and then you wrote a check and expect me to cash it? So there's a lot of things that we have to take into consideration when we decide, do we get married? Do we stay married? What is this relationship it is all about? So that's just my input for right now.
And that was a lot to package, but easy to understand, but a lot to package. And I think that was a great segue into we talk about guilt and carrying things and equally yoked and things of that nature. That also plays into let's talk about our self-esteem or self-value. And a lot of times for men, we look for validation, and I think women do as well. We look for validation in all the wrong places. We look for validation from the outside. We look for validation into people who have no business even validating us or giving us anything, because they're really sapping us and taking away. So let's talk about self-esteem.
Yeah.
So when a lot of times men get into things or look for women or having a relationship with women to help to fix or validate their self-esteem, I'm a man, or although my relationship or whatever may not have worked here, I'm still eligible. I'm good. I'm a go run over here, but I'm still carrying that bag. You know what I mean? I'm still carrying the baggage from the previous relationship, which in turn causes it's an internal war, not only with yourself, but there's going to be a war with her as well. So when we talk about self-esteem and carrying those bags, what did you have to say in regards to that, Kia?
I've seen that a lot. Like, I've seen men where I will see more in them than they see in themselves. And I could tell that it was a part of their reluctancy to carry on relationship dealt with their feelings of inadequacy or feeling like they really would not measure up. And that's sad. And I think women deal with the same thing as far as self-esteem. Like I said, I was processing this topic a lot. So I was running on the treadmill this morning, and I'm thinking about, what that means for me to, give myself self-care and how it builds my self-esteem. And then the thought came to me of, when people are asking why aren't men or women, able to commit, it's like, are we able to commit to ourselves first? Like that running on the treadmill is validation, is committing to me. And like commitment is work. It's a skill set. It's something that you have to pour into daily. And it's like, if you're not willing to do that for yourself, like how can you give that to another person or expect that person to give it to you? So it's like, if you're not showing up for yourself daily and loving on yourself and being disciplined and doing the things that you need to do to commit to yourself, then what are you going to do in a relationship? And then what expectation are you going to have for a partner realistically?
Right. And, that kind of segues into, I'm a part of entrepreneurs and business owners. And what I found out over my time of being in business and my experience is that how I felt personally also affected my business relationship, how I carried my business. So my relationships in my life was messy. The way I carried and moved in my business was also messy. And so we talk about individual maturity and relationship maturity. You're not going to have a relationship maturity if you're not each individually mature. And a lot weighs on that. I mean, it just does. I mean, as far as your future, how you interact with each other. Would you like to speak on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like when I was going through the whole situation, where I feel like God was processing me and helping me to face some things. And, at the beginning of it, I was looking at my ex, like he did this, he did that. And then it was like I had to be real and be like, okay, it takes two in a relationship. And if you're in a toxic relationship, it's because you're toxic as well, and to a certain degree. So I had to kind of step back and say, all right, so how did I contribute to this in a negative way? In what ways do I need to mature? In what ways do I need to grow? And you're right. Like if you're in one area of your life, it tends to spill over into other areas. And so I had to it was like a holistic look at myself. It went from things like being late to work. And like sometimes we do things and we're like, it's not that big a deal. You don't see how it impacts others, or you don't see it as that serious. And sometimes you don't even have those people in your life who are holding you accountable for certain things. So I had a really really quickly, I had a really close relationship with my boss. And so she was kind of lenient on me. And one day she sat me down, she said, I really can't hold everyone else accountable because I'm being lenient with you with being late. And I had to be like, I had to change my mindset. Like, I need to be on time. And it sounds crazy to say, but sometimes you really have to look at the way that you conduct yourself, and even in the smallest ways or seemingly smallest ways, and kind of evaluate, what does that say about your character? What does that say about you? And how will that show up in terms of you relating to other people? Not just in romantic relationships, but in every relationship.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you in regards to that. Um, wow. Uh, so I was just thinking in my mind, the other aspect too, and we touched a little bit on this, and we don't have to go too deep into this. Um, Personal insecurities is a big thing. And I know that as I've been working and growing on myself, and as I've gotten older, gotten more mature, the insecurities and things that I used to have is no longer present. I was able to deal with that and move forward and see myself in a different light, different perspective. And so it was pretty amazing to see that transformation. And those around me who do know me, who kind of seen and went through that, was like, wow, you're an amazing dude. So would you be able to tell the listeners, well, I guess from your perspective or a woman's perspective, would you be able to tell the listeners how insecurities does play in why we might not be able to commit to each other, or just from your aspect of it?
Yeah, from my opinion, when you look at your insecurities, especially as a woman, I think the number one thing a lot of women may think, or this is what I thought, is if a man gets close enough to me and I'm uncovered in a way and vulnerable to that, so that he sees these things that are a part of me, will he still be able to accept me and love me beyond? And then, we live in a world right now where there's a lot of comparison that happens um, with social media, with the way that we interact with one another. So it's like people are constantly comparing themselves to one another. And sometimes as women, or I'll just say for myself, you can have a lifelong journey of dealing with certain things that are insecurities, be it your weight, be it your complexion, be it whatever it is. And it's like, I think a part of the fear of commitment for men or women is that when you're up close and personal with someone, it's like, I'm going to be uncovered and they're going to be able to see these weaknesses or see this vulnerability or see these things that are not like a post or a snapshot or a quick snippet of who I might appear to be overall or in general. So, and one of the things that I had to learn to do, and I'm still working on this, is to give myself unconditional love. Like, say, I'm going to love myself regardless of whatever. And it's becoming easier and easier the older I get. But I think that is part of why we are not connecting with one another, is just of a fear of being vulnerable.
And um, this, speaking in regards to that vulnerability, right? I'm one to share that. I have no issue or problem with sharing that. Just in hope that you will have a better understanding and glimpse of me and who and where I am right now, and also be in the place where that person will be able to help me to also grow. But what I've learned is a lot of people that we happen to get into relationships with or hoping to build a relationship with, they use those vulnerabilities in positions of control, manipulation, or use them conveniently when they, to hurt you as well. So it comes with a big sacrifice. It comes with courage to be able to present and have those things with someone, to share those things with someone, because again, it's a double-edged sword. You're either going to be listened to and have the support, someone's going to help you grow, or they're going to use that same information to cut you down or control you, try to manipulate you or change you. Um, and another aspect of, I would just say, why men are reluctant to get into relationships, and I think women are too, and vice versa. And we talk about the aspect of sometimes there's too much drama when we come to babies' daddies or babies' mamas. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that, especially if there's unresolved situations or unresolved feelings. There's, although you verbally say the relationship is over, you're still bickering and going back and forth. And now you have this new person in your life that's in the middle of all this. You have your children in the midst of all this. And so relationships can go south very quickly. Just in regards to that, would you like to share anything in regards to that from a woman's perspective?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like you have to kind of, and I know that all those things can be present, but I think you have to initially figure out what is it that you want from relationships overall. Like what are you hoping to get out of relationships? And and then what do you want from a person? What do you have to bring to the table, and what do you want from another person? Because those are things that you should be able to evaluate up front in getting to know someone. And so you would know, like if you met a man and you know that they are good at managing conflict, or they're emotionally aware, or emotionally intelligent, then you know that how they are going to handle a situation with their child's mother. Um, and hopefully it will be a situation where, you can't always control that person, but you can know how your mate will interact in a situation like that. So I think it goes back to kind of knowing, what do you really want? What do you have to bring to a table? And then really getting to know someone up front and see and kind of evaluating, is this the person that I know can handle these types of situations? And I think where we go wrong is we move so quickly and we jump into things based on attraction and based on chemistry, and it's like you looking good and smelling good, and your baby mama, oh, she crazy, oh, but you look so good, you smell so good. And then it's like after a while, it's just too much. So it's like, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and she takes her time. She goes slowly with things. She's like, I'm going to pace myself, and I'm like,
with it.
I'm
Smell with it.
I'm like, girl, just give the brother a chance. And she's just like, no, 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 no. But I totally respect where she's coming from, because I have found in more recent years that slowing down does help you to see things that you can miss up front. Like just taking a step back, and then sometimes you can find out things down the road, and you can see that people aren't who they say they are, or they say one thing but it doesn't line up to what they really are about. So I think having some concrete idea of what you really want, like, does this man even know what the value of a woman is non-sexually? Or does he have a vision for his life? Does he want to build legacy? Does he want to get married? Or those things, finding that out up front, and then taking your time does help to avoid those situations. So
A lot of
yeah,
wasted time.
yeah, it's always going to be a risk, but at least you can go into it level headed. If you try to go in level headed, then I think it will increase your odds of having a better outcome.
I definitely agree with you. And with that said, before we come back from our commercial break, we're going to get into a woman being too vocal, too outspoken. She speaks her mind. We're going to get into that when we come back.
I'm loving this conversation. We are going to take a little break. I just want to say, Chris, we talked about most of the time you see them signs, but you're so busy looking at the wrong signs, you miss the signs that you need. You there's some warning signs out there. You be like she said, but you smell good. You look good. I don't know, baby mama crazy. It's all right, but you smell good. You look good. Then before you know it, he crazy right along with the baby mama.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, everybody. I thank you so much for your patience. We're going to take a little short break and be right back, okay? You just saw a little short clip from me. That's right, Miss B. I was the commercial. Everybody, in case you did not know, I do have a 30-minute special that comes on every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Preach the Word Network. You can find it online, or you can find me on DirecTV, Roku, Apple TV, and many other streaming platforms for the television, internet television. You can find me at the Preach the Word Network website at 9 a.m. So that being said, Miss B, Spiritual Realist, will be talking about scriptures and then asking you if it's true. How's it working for you? I'm just saying, I use a scripture every week, but starting next week, I'm going to be using scriptures dealing with the thoughts, because it's nothing new, but I just want to talk about the situations with a lot of the mass shootings. What's controlling their thoughts? What's controlling your thoughts? And some religions have just celebrated the resurrection of the Father. I want to know, what are your thoughts on that? Are you dedicating your life to him because he's, dedicated his life to us? What are your thoughts on that? So join me Friday morning, 9 a.m. East Coast time on Preach the Word Network, or on your local platforms such as DirecTV, Roku, Apple TV, and more. All right, Chris, let's get to it. What we got next?
Wow. I know for most men, this is a biggie. For me, it's not a big thing for me. I would rather for a woman to be vocal. I want her to be outspoken. I want her to speak her mind. Because one thing that I never wanted to do was silence somebody. That means that you don't know what's going on in her mind. You don't know what's going on in her heart. And Lord knows you don't know what's going on in anything else that's coming, with her, the whole aspect of herself. So that's a no-winner for me. But I know a lot of men who say, "Oh, she speaks her mind. She's too vocal. She's outspoken," and it's not the third.
I heard.
Yeah, that's a big reason why a lot of men are reluctant to get into relationships, because they sometimes want to be the vocal. They want to be in control. They want to be the say who this. They want to be the head of the household, and that and the third. But I'm more of a balanced person when it comes to that, because I'm not perfect. And I know sometimes the way I may be thinking in one area or vice versa might not be the perfect thing to do, but she might have some say into these things. And if I fall, she's going to fall. If she falls, I'm definitely going to fall. And if we fall together, how are we going to pick each other up? So let me get back to this. So, Kia, how do you feel about when men say that a woman is too vocal, she's outspoken, or speaks her mind?
Yeah, I think it goes back to understanding the value of a woman beyond her what she could do for you sexually or comfort wise, or entertainment wise, because I feel like a man who values a woman knows that there's a lot of wisdom and favor that he can gain from a woman who has an intellect, who has a mind of her own. I also do believe, though, and I had to learn this the hard way, that there is a way, and this is not just for women, but there is a way to engage with your partner so that you are not offending them, criticizing them. The way that I have looked at it now is I want to be with my partner the same way I am with my friends. Like I don't offend my friends. I don't um, criticize them. I don't, I'm not demanding with my friends. The Bible says in order to gain friends, you show yourself friendly. And I think that in a relationship, you have to be friends with your partner first. And I feel like when we get too familiar or we get too close to people, we kind of cross lines that we should not cross and speak to people in ways that we would not want um, to be spoken to, like, and also the way that I speak to my children. I never want to hurt my children. I don't want to bruise their egos. I don't want to make them feel self-conscious. I don't want them to feel hurt by me. And so my biggest thing going to another relationship is I never want to be in a relationship and hurt my partner or make them feel like I'm judging them or criticizing them or trying to take something away from them. So my words would be edifying them or to have discussion. I'm passionate in speaking, but I never want to be in a way where I am diminishing that person or because sometimes when you go a certain place with someone, you can't really come back from that. And I think for a lot of women, I know we see in movies and we see glamorized women having the last word and cussing their man out, but that's not reality. Like, you want to treat your partner like your best friend. You want to treat them, you want to speak to them like you would speak to a child, not like in a mothering way, telling them what to do, but with that same gentleness.
I'm gonna give it to Miss B, but I'm gonna say this first. I'm all for, if I've done something and it needs to be addressed, speak your mind. You know what I mean? Go at it. I'm not gonna be mad at you because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something that's in your head that I didn't do, or you're accusing me of something that you were doing that I'm not doing, then you'll see the quote unquote kickback from that.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely believe in words are just as powerful, not only emotionally but physically. They hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it stays a lot longer with somebody that you love and you care about than somebody that you may not know. You'd be like, bouncing off of you a little bit, but it does hurt. And you can't come back from that. It's like if somebody shooting a shotgun in your chest or you sit on a grenade. You can't come back from those things you say. So I would also agree with you on having the words to choose your words wisely when you speak. Miss B?
There's a whole lot to say about that. I'm just going to stick to this. Old saying is, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's a lie from hell. Even the Bible tell you that the tongue is the hardest thing to tame. And so the action of hurting someone physically, yes, the memory is there, but the physical pain will leave. But when you speak harmful words, that stays in your spirit. And it takes a strong person to turn it around and say, okay, what's my lesson in this? And as I get older and grow spiritually, I'm understanding what's my lesson in this. The worse they treat me, the more I need to pray for them and the strength to deal with it. But not everybody is at that cross point. So I'm just going to say, as far as this conversation is concerned, words do hurt. They're powerful. If you think about it spiritually, we were spoken into existence. We were thought of and they were spoken into existence, and everything he created, he spoke it into existence. So we have power and authority through the spoken word, and not, people don't realize what they're saying into the atmosphere takes hold spiritually. And that includes impacting our thoughts and our behavior to that. So words are very powerful.
And so the next thing I want to mention is, from a man's point of view, what happens is, when we meet a woman or someone that we really like, and we interested in a possibility of a relationship, we're kicking it, we having fun, things is great. We could talk about anything. We could talk about other women, we could talk about just whatever it is, but for some reason when we get into this relationship, things change. And we don't understand that, because here we are, although we're building and we're growing together, why should any of this stuff stop? Like, so it's like another level of communication has diminished. It's out the window. And that's a very, that's like smacking mama in the face. That's like a no-no for us. So we have to somehow, I would just address and say to ladies that you have to address things in the beginning before you get to the relationship. If there's something that you not feel comfortable talking about, and you just just to get in good, get in close. If you cannot keep that, I would say set the precedence, right? If you set that precedence, it must maintain, it must continue for us. So would you be able to speak in regards to that? Like, you know, what are some of the things that would deter you from being in a committed relationship? Like, we having this conversation and we talking about, oh, you know, we got to talk about my friend here, that and the third. And she's a female, but now you're like, oh, stop talking about her. It's you and me. You know, I don't know. So yeah, going on that for me, please.
Well, I think in reality, as relationships transition, things are supposed to change. But I think it's up to both people in that relationship to decide on how they change and why they change, and kind of always having that communication and those check-ins to kind of evaluate, where are we, what's going on, what, you know, the vibe is a little different. I always believe, like, people seem to get really, it's easy to get intimate with someone physically, but then to be raw and real and say what is real on your mind, it's all of a sudden it's like, can't do that. I can get really close and physically intimate with you, but I can't say, hey, I'm feeling vulnerable, or hey, I have this insecurity. So it's kind of like, you want to be in a situation where you are, like, again, with your friend, and you're able to discuss, you know, how will our relationship change, or how might our relationship change if we are to transition this or to grow this into something else? What does that mean for both of us? What are our expectations for this relationship? And if something comes up that kind of breaks an expectation, or it's something that is a challenge for the relationship, you got to be able to talk about that. I don't think it's realistic to say, I don't want to get in a relationship because things will change, or I'll get in a relationship as long as not everything stays the same. It's like, that's unrealistic, because even like with marriage, a lot of people say a piece of paper shouldn't change anything. Well, when you get married, things are going to change. Your expectations change. Now, your expectations don't have to be modeled after what society says or what everyone else says you should do in your relationship. Your relationship should be uniquely yours, but you have to communicate about those things. I think it's people sell themselves short, or do one another a disservice if they fear relationships because things will change, because that's what life is about. Life is about change.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely something that I think both men and women have to address and work on. Things do change, and you figure you get into the relationship with me. If this is something that's affecting me, then, you know, you need to make the proper adjustments. It's a give and take. So that being said, let's talk about parents. Let's talk about family influence. Sometimes I'll be the first to step up here and tell y'all, there was a relationship that I was in that I broke out of because my elders didn't approve of this person, but it wasn't based on the person's beauty, or it wasn't based on like how that person treated me and things of that nature. We had a wonderful relationship, but we just had some people in the family who, at that time, for whatever reason, we didn't want to be subject to racism, right? But we were being racist against our own kind because she was too dark for them. Well, I could, Lord, you gonna have children by her? You know what I mean? Like, that it didn't have anything to do with them, but the constant war back and forth. It was kind of insane. It was kind of crazy. So I just remained to be friends with that person as opposed to carrying a relationship with that person, because of course sometimes your family can have influences, different things going on.
He's
but
like, what?
I'm serious. This is like in my younger days, like my teenage. Yeah. So speak on that, Miss B.
She is hot.
She hot.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a break because you said you were young, dumb, and unintelligent. Boy, let me tell you something. Do you know how many people over 21 are doing that?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's black, white, Asian, whatever. People are listening to family members on how they should choose their mates. And it's not based on anything that has to do with their personality, but appearance. Or they bougie, they got too much money. Or they ghetto, they got no money. Or they're unattractive. Or I know their mama, daddy, and this. What in the world? Let me tell y'all something. We're talking about relationships, and we're talking about why men, and we're just going to broaden it, why people are hesitant to go into committed relationships. Some people are not hesitant. They are being blinded and confused and operating out of insecurities and a lack of self-value to think that they can't make decisions for themselves. And so there's a lot of reasons. I mean, we could talk about this topic for weeks. Why do people, shy away from not committing? And you all have hit on some very important points, but I'm glad you brought that one up, because a lot of people, you think about, I'm 55, baby. And back in the day, it was no such thing as a black-white relationship. Everybody stayed in their own lane, on their own side of town, and their own color. Please don't be mixed and marry a not obvious mixed person, because we all are mixed. But I'm saying a darker skinned person with someone who has a light skinned parenting family, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say, well, okay, let's just say they were white and they marry somebody black, and then you hook up with somebody that's mixed. That's going on now. That has not changed. And so my input, Miss B, I don't care who it is. If they're not hurting you, you're connected spiritually, you have a relationship, you're not marrying families, the family is not marrying them. You have to decide if you're going to be strong enough to be committed to that relationship. Otherwise, you're going to always be manipulated. I'm just so glad you brought that topic up, because that's very important.
Kid?
No, I have had to, because I'm very close with, I have a very close best friend, and I have my mom, and we're always talking, right? So over the years, I've had to learn that some things should just be for you and your partner. They don't need to be for everyone. Even in terms of like the stages of first dating someone, sometimes you just need that space. Now, I do believe that you should have like accountability people. You should have people who are big supporters, kind of aware of what's going on. But some things you have to keep to yourself or keep a little private, because you should be able to hear your own voice and listen to your own intuition about the situation. I don't want to say don't put people in your business or don't put family in your business, because I think we do need more of a communal, familial support to relationships. I think that's part of why relationships kind of fall apart these days, is because we don't have those community members. And some of the stuff that I'm thinking of came from, I was talking to someone, I think you know him, Chris, Aman Shabazz, and he was talking about like community and relationships and like the bigger picture of relationships. But I feel like there was a point where family was in the relationship. They were a part of the relationship as well. And they were pouring into your relationship to make it healthy, to make it last, to help you to, have support outside of the two of you. But sometimes that could be toxic, and you have to kind of think about why people are giving you the advice they're giving you, why they say the things they say, because some people are human, and sometimes their advice, while it may be well-meaning, it might come from a place of their own insecurities, or might come from a place of their own jealousy. It might come up. So you just have to be very wise and think about, you know, where people are coming from and why they're saying the things they're saying.
Yeah, their own personal pain or their own, what you say, lust. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get them to break up, then I'm gonna holler at her. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So it's different things, different aspects of it. And, you know, we talk about family. I just remember a gentleman that I used to hang out with. His family at some point, his grandmother kind of gave him the ultimatum. It was like, you need to stop dating black girls. You stop hanging around black guys, or I'm going to cut you out of the will. And she had a lot of money. Like, nobody cared about any of that stuff. You know what I mean? We were just at a time and age where people, you meet somebody and you really, you bond and you grow, and like, they didn't care about any of that. Their parents or grandparents or whoever. So sometimes family influence did affect them to the point that, at the time, he was kind of struggling, and I know he needed that support, but they kind of used that also as an influential place to be like, okay, well, we're not going to speak or talk anymore, and things like that. So I get it. I understand it's terrible, but sometimes your family influence can be an awful thing when it comes to why sometimes men won't commit, or fully, like, we're good enough to have sex with, or she might be good enough to have sex with, but she's not going to look at you as a husband. You're going to be entertainment for the meantime, but I'm going to move on later. So I know I'm gonna bring up one more thing. I know I had a plethora of things to go through, but I love the conversation this evening. We touched on societal division, skin color, physical features a little bit. So I'm trying to think in my mind, one thing that I wanted to, okay, let's talk about finances. Let's talk about education. Business-minded people. Sometimes men are reluctant to get into relations because either they feel inferior to you, because they feel like you have too much education, you make too much money, you're too independent. And I also see that on the opposite end as well, where some women feel like, I can't measure up to that. I don't have anything to do with that. But it's not really about that. It's about the relationship. But would you be able to speak on that as well? Because I know that we've had a conversation in the past just in regards to how hard it is for a financially independent woman, an educated woman, and an outspoken woman. It's hard to have all those things together and meet somebody who is like loving it all and taking it all in.
I don't know. I find that so funny. I don't know why that would be an issue for men. I could see it being an issue if a woman led with that, like, I'm this because I have a master's degree, or I'm that because I make this amount of money. I mean, I feel like those things do not qualify you to be any better than any person, really and truly. And I hate those types of judgments. I hate judgments on intellect. I hate when people place hierarchies on themselves or other people based on what they believe they know or what they have, because you can't really measure the worth of a person that way, in my opinion. So I don't know why. I mean, I know that that's a thing or that's said, but honestly, a man that feels secure in himself, or a woman that feels secure in themselves, and knows their value and worth, I don't see them feeling like, oh, you make too much money. You just $50,000 over my worth.
Listen,
I mean, I know it's real. I know it's real, but it's just silly to me. It's like, Right. I mean, honestly and truly, with everything that's going on in the world right now, um, we have to find better ways to evaluate how we are going to cherish someone's worth.
Absolutely.
You know.
And you know, again, I've seen it happen so many times. And then when when it seems like when the male has the financial gain and then he has the upper hand and he's controlling, he's telling her what she can and cannot do, and you're gonna be a stay-home mom and this and that type of thing. And whereas on the opposite end, I've seen it where in the past I was in a relationship with a woman who made significant amount of money, and I over a period of time I saw she kept sliding these little darts in here and there and the third, you know, about what I should be doing and how I should be X, Y, and Z, and this, and the third. And I had to shut it down because I was like, okay, I see, you know, you can take me certain places, but you don't take me everywhere. You said I was like, oh, hold up. And I'm looking at you different because now as though you have, you know, you want to take me, you want to parade me around the club, and or you want to, we can go eat and all that stuff, but you know, you have a work function. You know, you kind of shine away from taking me to the workplace. Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I meet some of your expectations, but I don't meet all your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I didn't care back in the day. I mean, yeah, I was running the streets, but knowing me, I speak and get along with everybody. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very educated in different areas and things like that. So conversation piece wasn't that. So I was trying to figure out, like, okay, I see this as an issue. It's an ongoing issue. It keeps coming up. So just looking at those type of things, they do exist. I just wish people get over those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's beneficial to everybody if you have a goal, intent, the right intent, and you're moving somewhere together. But with that being said, Kia, um, would you like to give the listeners some information just in regards to where they can reach you and contact you?
Sure, I can be reached at Kia Reed on Facebook. Also, GenWords, GenWords.org. GenWords.org is the website that my mom and I started for, and my sister, for generational words, and our bios and services are on that page. Um, I do want to say really quickly that we are working right now on directing and producing a short film with Maisha Gilliam. The Miracles of Life film is about her experience, her true life experience, facing, dying and coming back, and her experience with God. And I think it's such important work. Like when I got into film, it was so that I can create faith-based films, and also so I can create faith-based films that would reach people of color, because I know a lot of faith-based films are not always of people of color, and that's Maisha's goal as well with this film, is to show that miracles do happen to Black and brown people too.
Oh, absolutely.
So we'll look out for that. We'll be filming in June.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Um, I don't have it now, but since you brought it up, um, I will be posting on the Issues of Men page. There is a fundraiser for that as well to support everything that goes on with the movie. When you're producing a movie, it takes time, it takes money. You know, again, it takes funding to do that. And if you don't have the right funding, the right people, the right things in place, um, the film is not going to go well. But I want that. I want her film to be very well put together and carried out the way it's supposed to be. So I'm going to be posting the link for that on my page as well to support this film. Also, Kia is also a partner with, she mentioned Generational Words. There's several books on the website, on the platform, that you should go and support. Ladies of the Book Club 1 and 2. Also on YouTube, go there and check out their work. Amazing work that they have put out already. Would you be able to give me your YouTube page as well?
We're on YouTube at Generational Words as well. I don't know the YouTube
No.
URL,
Yeah,
but
no, no, not that.
you can find the Ladies of the Book Club web series on YouTube. And my mom actually, Miss B, that's the first time I saw your show. My mom was on your show, giving an interview about her web series. Yeah.
I'm still crying over number one.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you something. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not my time to speak. Let me be quiet.
You talking? It's okay.
I'm loving it. Thank you so much. And to know that you're working. Oh, you know what, Chris? Let's talk about the book, the anthology.
There's also an anthology that's out also by it's a plethora of great authors who submitted their works in support of the Corona Chronicles. That's also on the genwords.org website. You have to definitely get that book and support that book. It's an amazing book. It's by Black authors and sharing their experience. And it comes from it's a wide background of experiences that people are coming from and from different places across the United States as well. So you'll see a whole different background of experience from those who are married, those who are single, single with kids, and just going through some traumatic situations with family, friends, and etc. So you definitely have to pick that book up as well. Go to www.authorchrisallen.com to check out. I got new covers, for the adult and youth books, Reader's Choice. So you can definitely go there to check that out as well. Some of the information has been revamped. Also for the Issues of Men apparel, I will have hats soon. I have universal unisex clothes for men and women. I'm also going to have some other things as well. So it's definitely going to be some Issues of Men merchandise and apparel going on there as well. Ascension Publishing, I have my information on there. I'm also a public notary, so on the dotted line services. Check that out on my website as well, www.authorchrisallen.com. Next week's topic, family. Well, let's back up. It ain't next week. We are going to be coming on the Issues of Men every other week. It's going to be the first and the third week of the month. Definitely have some things going on now. So it's going to be twice a month as opposed to 4 times a month or every week. So the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here on Stormtalk Radio 365 and all our social media platforms. And we also have, I'm trying to think of something. Oh my God, I can't think of what it is right now. I'm sorry, family. But next week's show we're going to talk about avoidance. Avoidance personally, avoidance in relationships and things of that nature. And definitely gonna get into avoidance, and by us trying to stay out the way is not the answer to your issues or problems. So we're gonna get into that, not next week, but the third week of the month. So I have to get used to that. I have to get used to it, family. Miss B, what else you have going on right now?
You know, we talked about Maisha, but we must not leave her husband out. We both contributed to the anthology. Would you like to tell them about that one?
Wow. I don't even know how I even skipped over that. Miss B and I are also a part of an anthology. It's a book that Mr. Gillum L has written, he's purchased, and I left it upstairs this evening. But it's a definitely great book. If you go to Hakeem Gillum L's page, matter of fact, I'm just going to post all the information on the Issues of Men website tonight. Also, I would love for you also to subscribe to my YouTube page. I'm trying to grow my subscribership. I'm trying to get some things going on there. And also, if you would like to support, you can go to Ascension Cash App, AscensionServices, and also support at $ Stormtalk on Cash App to support the growth of our platform and services as well. So with that being said, Ms. B, what you got for us?
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Thank you so much for inviting your guests. I enjoyed the conversation again. Chris will be coming back with me twice a month instead of 4 times. He's just so busy. He needed to carve out some more time to do some other things. Please look for more from Issues of Men. He has a lot going on with both the Ascension Services, being a publisher. He himself is a poet and a writer. He also has, I call him merchandise, but he's doing guest interviews. He's also being guest on other shows. So he has grown a lot. And I'm just so excited to be able to share his message on my platform at least twice a month. So Kia, I'm excited to tell your mom hi. I'm looking forward to more from the 3 of you. I'm looking forward to being able to support Aisha's film as well. We're going to make sure we give it as much visibility as possible. Okay.
Great. Absolutely. Thank you all for having me.
All right, everybody. Not a problem. Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye, Chris.
Have a good night.